Mr. President, I support this amendment, and I commend my friend and colleague, Senator Feingold. It's wrong, basically and fundamentally wrong, to give another blank check to President Bush for his failed Iraq policy. I support our troops, but I oppose our war. Mr. President, we have heard here in the last few minutes, in the last few hours, the rather rosy picture about what is happening over in Iraq. And I think everyone in this chamber salutes the brave men and women for their courage and their bravery and their valor over the last 5 years. This war has been going on for 5 years. And we do know that there has been some progress made in recent time on the military aspect. But as every member of the Armed Services Committee understands, that everyone that has had responsibility for Iraq that has appeared before that committee has said there are two dimensions to finally getting peace in Iraq. One is military and one is the political reconciliation, and that has not taken place. Day after day after day after day, our men and women are on the streets of Baghdad and around Iraq, and more American servicemen have lost their lives this year than any other year of the Iraq War. Make no mistake about it. And as we see that these brave men and women in Baghdad and all over are still being targeted in Iraq, they are basically, Mr. President, being held hostage by the Iraqi political establishment. American military personnel, American service men and women are being held hostage by Iraqi's political leadership that refuses to come together and reconcile their differences and form a government. And every day that goes on, American taxpayers' money is being poured into the sands of Iraq because Iraqi politicians refuse reconciliation and political judgments in Iraq. That is what is going on over there today. That was going on yesterday and has been going on for 5 years. And what the other side says, let's give this administration and this president a blank check to continue it. How long do they want it for? When is enough enough? That's what they are asking for. That is what they're asking for, Mr. President. 5 long years. These brave men and women in the armed forces have done what they have been asked to do. And the best way you can honor them is to get the policy right, to get the policy correct. And that is what the Feingold Amendment does. And how? Very simple. It says, okay, Mr. Iraqi politician, okay, you've had your chance, you've had your day, now you have to take responsibility for your own country. And the way that you're going to do that is that we are going to start bringing American servicemen and women home. They have been unwilling to take the political decisions up till now. The other side just says, pour more money in here, lose more American lives. Feingold has a changed policy. It says, we believe that with the judgment and decision that we are going to take American servicemen, then they will make the judgment and decision that is in the interest of their country. Their way hasn't worked. This way will. Why not give it a chance? Why not give it a try? And, Mr. President, what do some of the American military personnel say over there? Listen to Brigadier General John Campbell, Deputy Commanding General, 1st Cavalry in Iraq, spoke bluntly about the faults of the Iraqi political leaders. He said, the ministers, they don't get out. They don't know what the hell is going on in the ground. This is the Brigadier General, Deputy Commander, talking about Iraqi political leaders, and you want to give them a blank check? You want to give them a blank check? Well, those of us that support the Feingold Amendment say no. What did Admiral Lieutenant Colonel Mark Fetter put it this way? It is painful, very painful, to deal with the obstructionism of Iraqi officials. There it is. How much clearer does it have to get? How much more of a blank check do you have to need? How many more billions of dollars do you have to spend? Let alone We'll never recover the 81 brave men and women of my state of Massachusetts have lost their lives. That can't be recovered. But just think of this, Mr. President. For every month that goes on in that battle over there in Iraq, we could have 250,000 more school teachers that were expert in math and science teaching our young people. For every month that goes on, just think that every child that needs after-school help and assistance would be able to receive it here in the United States of America. Just think of this, that for every month this goes on, Mr. President, we could provide Head Start for every young person that needs it. And just think of this, Mr. President, for 2 of those 5 years, if we had the resources for 2 of those 5 years, we could have rebuilt every public school in this country. Doesn't that matter? Doesn't that matter? Well, it matters to this senator, and it matters to those that are supporting the Senate amendment. Mr. President, it's wrong to neglect priorities like these at home, pour hundreds of billions of dollars into the black hole that Iraq war has become. It's wrong to give the president another huge blank check for the war in Iraq. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough. And I urge my colleagues to take a strong stand and a vote against this gigantic blank check for more war.